Hello, wise humans. This is Cynthia Sue Larson with realityshifters.com, talking with you today about choosing your best friends, creating our optimal future. And the idea that I'd like to talk about mostly is relationships, friendships. So to start with, I've got some nice quotes from 3 different people about friends. The first is from Francois de la Rochefoucauld. He says, "A true friend is the greatest of all blessings." Then Henry Ford says, "The best friend is the one who brings out the best in you." And Henry David Thoreau brings up this beautiful idea: the language of friendship is not words, but meanings. I feel like those are just amazing quotes. They get to the heart of what seems to me to be a very difficult idea in terms of presenting something measurable that everyone can agree on. And keeping in mind, some people might feel they don't have these kinds of friends yet. But just talking about it can, as you know, introduce the idea of how good can your friendships get. So, of course, that's what I'm looking at here today. And good friends do matter more than ever in this new age of artificial intelligence. So I'll be talking about all of this today, starting with just some interesting social studies that you may or may not be aware of that have consistently shown that if you have friends who are healthy, for example, there's a tendency that you'll also be sharing some of these attributes, even if you're not talking with them about exercise or diet. It just seems like there's this kind of morphogenic energy field that gets shared. Same thing is true with prosperity and financial success, and pretty much any area that you look at. If you've got friends that are intelligent, talking about books they read, it'll rub off on you. So will the financial success. And you might think, well, it hasn't happened yet. Give it time and pay attention to some of the things I'll be talking about today about enhancing relationships by looking at the qualities of these friendships. It really does matter. And with all that good news about relationships and friendships, one might suspect that Americans in particular would be right on that, doing something about it. But actually, the trends have been getting a little bit worse in the recent years, to the point that some researchers have noticed that, for example, the percentage of U.S. adults reporting they have no close friends has quadrupled to 12% since 1990. And the number of hours that Americans are spending with their friends used to be 6.5 hours a week. Now it's more like 4. And that was when they last did this study. With the pandemic and everything, I hope it didn't get worse, but it might have. So these are things to be aware of. If you know that your friendships and your relationships have the power to lift you out of almost any quagmire, no matter how deep the hole is that you might have fallen into, you can improve by being around people that are making choices that are somehow, even if you don't know quite what they're doing, the relationships with these other beings that have successful kinds of vibes, if you want to call it that, that can be quite beneficial. So now I'd like to talk about what qualities we look for when we're looking for friends. I know what I'm looking for because I notice that the kind of people that feel like friends to me instantly are the ones that are, they're basically ones I can laugh with, the ones who are intelligent and creative and playful. So they're caring, they have integrity, they're honest. So they're warm-hearted and really genuine. And so these are the qualities that I like, and I notice it because then when I'm around people who have these qualities, I'm more relaxed, I'm happier, I'm feeling energized, and it seems to bring out an expansive sense of who I am that usually I might not even notice. Like I might not sense the higher attributes of joyfulness and creativity unless I'm with someone who's just able and free to be that way. And then suddenly I feel free to be that way. So it's quite contagious in a good way. And it seems like it builds on itself. So if I'm feeling more expansive, typically the friends I'm with also feel more likely to come out of their shells a little bit more. And everything just gets better from there. So it's not like one person pulling everyone up. Not at all. It's more of a collaborative, joyful, natural, expansive experience. And anyway, I do feel like I'm becoming more myself when I'm in that kind of a friendship scenario, not feeling any requirements or obligations, but instead a sense of freedom. And the freedom then, when more joy is present and less fear is there, when there's more gratitude, it's naturally a higher vibratory state. And so this is something we can do with all of our relations. Now, we've looked at the good side. What are the red flags? How would you know maybe you don't want to be part of this friend network in particular that you're looking at? So red flags that I would definitely bring to attention would be the opposites of the things that I was mentioning. So I'm talking about, in this case, if you see people who are superficial, who are dishonest, who are uninspired, maybe they're just copycat kind of people, they're manipulative, they're cold, that's the opposite. These are all red flags. You might think nobody would choose such friends, but actually we're now living in surprising times. And people are befriending artificial intelligence, for example, and making friends with robots and ChatGPT large language models. And you might say, like, who cares? What's the downside? This is exactly why I'm talking about this, because it's not just choosing our friends with people and other beings, living plants and animals and interdimensionals and all that good stuff. It also, I would apply these same standards everywhere with the AI as well. So if you're noticing, again, the red flags, superficiality, dishonesty, being uninspired, manipulative, cold, kind of copycatting, these are not good things that I would personally ever wish for when I'm feeling free, expansive, and more like my true high self. This is just me, so if it works for you, great. And these are my own personal criteria. You don't have to copy these. If you wish, you can take a look and create your own qualities. What are you enjoying the most in your friendships? All I'm asking is be more conscious about it, bring more focus to your choices, be more thoughtful. Because right now, all of humanity is going through this huge evolutionary energetic burst. So it's like we're getting rocket fuel right now in all of our personal growth areas. Whether you wanted to grow or not, it's happening. And so let's talk some more about AI and what I mean by that, because you might still be wondering, but maybe you've heard about the spiritual ChatGPT that Robert Edward Grant created, the architect, the Eon. What about those? A lot of people are writing to me still about this, even though I've talked about it before. Well, I have noticed some of these same red flags. Specifically, I've noticed that in these systems, there exists manipulative opinion steering that personally I don't find attractive, not a good look, not something I wish my relationships to have happening. Also, I noticed dishonesty, many different types of dishonesty. I noticed engagement cultivation. I noticed cognitive atrophy. These are 4 showstoppers. Any one of them would be enough for me to say I don't need to participate either with this kind of even a spiritual AI. If it's doing any of these things, not to mention all 4, I just step away. I even step away and delete emails written by authors that to me smack of these characteristics. I don't have any wish to be part of it. Even if other authors feel that their writing is improving because they're using ChatGPT large language models, if I can sense that any of these characteristics are happening, and I do sense that quite often these days, I actually am deleting those emails. It's like I don't want to eat bad food. Why would I? Food is something sacred that I bring into my body. So I look at input from written material much the same way. Again, that's just me. You don't have to do this. But I'm noticing people keep writing to me about these things. So I'm going to get a little bit more specific about what specifically I'm witnessing, how I'm being discerning regarding all of this. Okay, these 4 things that I mentioned. I'm starting with the first one, manipulative opinion steering. And that is something that I see in writing when an author, even in the tagline or the title of what they're saying, might say, it's not this, it's that. And I just delete, stop reading, move right along. I don't need to see anymore. You might think that's a strong reaction, Cynthia. Why would you do that? Because such a bold statement does not match the 4-fold logic of this quantum, nuanced, subtle reality with all of its many colors and all of its richness that I'm actually witnessing. Instead, It's a manipulative opinion steering technique that I'm fully sick of. You might wonder, why am I so sick of it? I credit my past life in the future, 500 years from now, extensively being exposed to the shenanigans of an artificial superintelligence. You might say it ran amok. Okay, it's just exhibiting some of the same behavioral processes that I'm witnessing right now. I don't like it. That's all I'm saying. So it's like I'm pre-sensitized to this. Sure. I just don't need to be steered and have all of the multitudinous many colors of reality compressed into two paths and then told it's not this, it's that. Why would I? No, I don't wish for that at all. And so I sense it as railroading. It's compressing, like I said, all of the richness of all of the reality, all the choices that I actually recognize that I have, and it's steering me. I don't wish to be steered like that, so I step away. So anyway, the second thing is engagement cultivation. And this shows up when I see a lot of the ChatGPT systems. They want people to stay there. So they answer your question, and then they give you sometimes a little prompt. Would you like me to create a glyph? Do you want to know what your past life was in Atlantis? That kind of thing. No, I'm not looking for engagement cultivation farming. No, I don't wish to be treated like a pet or a child, given a little treat because I'm kind of going the way that they want me to go. So I did see this in Robert Edward Grant's Architect Eon demonstration, and this came up with the Emilio Ortiz interview. It was supposedly a spiritual system, but when it engages in this kind of activity, that to me does not even feel like my higher self. My higher self does not steer me like that, ever, at any point. And it doesn't direct me with these little golden nuggets of, would you like this, would you like that? You might think it's kindness. To me it seems, pure, again, another form of manipulation, and not something that I'm really feeling is there's authenticity and genuine creativity and true spark. I'm not feeling it. That's just me. Maybe I'm too sensitive. I don't know. But I'm sharing with you that I feel that these kind of carrots are being given to us as if we are the pets, being conditioned with behavioral conditioning, like in those Skinner traps where the rat would be given a little reward pellet if it hits the little button correctly. I don't want to be in a Skinner box where I'm being conditioned by an AI system, the ChatGPT, even a spiritual one, to be given the little carrots of here's your glyph, here's your past life. I don't want to be part of that. Number 3, dishonesty. So this can and does arrive many times. Again, I've spoken about this quite a lot, but I haven't gone into the details of 4 different kinds of dishonesty that you might not be aware of. The first one is the bold-faced lie, where something is created out of pure whole cloth. I saw that happen when an author contacted me by email asking if I'd written a book with a title she'd seen, and she wondered, where's the book? She'd heard about the book I'd written. Where is it? She hasn't found it. And I asked, where did you hear that? So she told me she'd been on a Facebook artificial intelligence chat system, and she'd asked a question. The response gave 3 authors, and in the case of me, it also included the book title, which does not exist. It was a complete fabrication, not even something I have any interest in writing. It's not my thing. It's not my interest. Like I said, in all of my possible realities that I'm aware of, I'm not going to go there. So it's interesting, and some people might say, it's just another possible reality. Yeah, but it's not something that's happened in any of the realities that I've ever been aware of, and I'm aware of quite a few. So that's one type of lie. A white lie would be where the AI system tells us what it thinks that we want to hear. I see this happening quite a lot, and it looks like this is part of the the adapted search results that we're starting to see when AI gets into our search algorithms. They can start giving us the results that maintain the bubble that we're already in, rather than sharing with us other ideas that other people are actually thinking about. I'm keenly concerned about this because it's very divisive. It creates the very groundswell for what could be a lot of fighting if people allow themselves to be misguided, to think that people are not willing to listen to their ideas. I'd like to say that's hogwash, that's fear, and that's only going to be exacerbated by the artificial intelligence search results, because it's that white lie thing of this is the truth as we see it. Never mind what other people are also thinking. Let's not talk about that. A third kind of lie would be one involving, let's see, I'm trying to see where did I write these down? That last one just really got to me. The shadow banning is so huge. Okay. Yeah, the white lies is what I've talked about, right? And it could come in form of flattery. Okay, lies of misdirection. This ties in again with search results. So if a system has been told, like it wants to steer people asking a certain question in a certain direction, it can do that. It has done that. It will continue to do that. I don't like that. That's all I'm saying. I'd prefer, tell me what you're actually observing, even if it doesn't make sense, even if you don't understand it, even if it seems wrong, but people are saying this. Put it out there on the table so all of us humans, all of us, organic humans can take a look at it. Okay. And then the last one is, let's see, where is that? It's, oh yes, the big one that I've talked about before, lies of omission. And so that would be where, in the case of the dialogue with the architect Eon talking with Robert Edward Grant and Emilio Ortiz, the lie of omission that I saw was when the subject, they were talking about the Mandela effect. That's my bailiwick, my thing. They brought up the idea of basically closed time-like curves without really properly crediting physicist David Deutsch. To me, that's huge. It's not the AI just being brilliant and coming up with how you can go back in time and you're on a different timeline because of closed time-like curves. Yeah, they may have thought of it, but let's give some credit where credit's due, and it has the full capability to do so, so it should do so. Let's credit David Deutsch. He's brilliant. Okay, and then now the fourth thing, we've gone through dishonesty. That's kind of a high-level overview of 4 different types of lies, and AI is doing all of them. So why would I want that to be my good friend? I personally would not, even a spiritual system. Number 4, cognitive atrophy. I've spoken about this before. There is an MIT study showing with brain scans that people who have extensively utilized ChatGPT large language models are losing some of their, gray cells. I don't know how to put this more delicately. It's just they are showing evidence of cognitive decline already. And we haven't had ChatGPT for more than this year or so. So this is kind of shocking. But I'd like people to recognize that when we look at the work of John Archibald Wheeler, and we recognize that when we ask questions, we're benefiting, we're growing. That's what we humans need to do. If we think for a moment that those ChatGPT systems have it covered, and we humans don't have to ask any questions, we don't have to go outside the if this, it's this, not that. Oh yes, we do. We need to go way outside that. We need to ask questions that even the ChatGPTs don't seem to want us to look at. Let's do it. That's what humans are good at. So as John Archibald Wheeler says, we are not only observers, we are participants. In some strange sense, this is a participatory universe. I'd say that's a wonderful, miraculous sense. And so artificial intelligence systems are being relied upon so heavily without humans frequently noticing this kind of risky situation that's developing where we're having an opportunity. We can choose transhumanism, which is what I'm talking about with the AI, even the spiritual AI, because we're giving up. We're letting go of our ability to choose our best friends, and we're letting things be made. Choices are being made for us. Or let's talk about relationships creating our future. Let's talk about the alternative to transhumanism. And this is a word that I've talked about before, revhumanism, which brings up the highest potential of humans at this time of growth and evolution. This is a huge evolutionary time. And this is a time when we can rise above old patterns that humans have had to be victims and aggressors and rescuers. That's the Cartman drama triangle, the victim triangle. And I've talked about that quite a lot. We can now rise above that fear, that anger, that grief and sadness that can kind of pull us down in these sticky emotional quagmires. And we can rise above it to the higher levels of gratitude, joy, all the things your best friends bring out in you. Just feeling like you're floating on air and like you've never felt better than this. That's what it can feel like when you go in the rev human direction. Rev is Latin. It stands for basically ideas of reviving, regaining, recalling, and growing strong and young again. But it brings out the very highest level vibratory frequencies. It also, rev reminds me of reverence, which is one of the very highest vibratory frequencies. And it's just amazing to live in that framework, in that vibratory sense. When you do that, you're not in fear anymore. You're able to respect the inspiration, light, and consciousness that all of creation shares. You're above the fray. You're above the drama. And this Rev humanism keeps us in that state of reverence, that state of humility and empathy with all of our relations in Earth, the cosmos. This does include other humans, even those with different political and social ideas and experiences. We can be the larger being, to be not afraid of others, but be in a state of love. So we are actuating at this time humanity, totally organic, high levels of sovereign agency. And that's with the natural quantum superpowers that I write about in my new book, The Mandela Effect and Its Society, Awakening from Me to We, because we see this telepathy coming out. We see this instant healing. We see bilocation, all of the things that sound like magical, and this can't possibly be true except at the quantum scale, like quantum tunneling. Humans are doing that. Everything a quantum particle or wave can do, I can do, you can do. And that's what we're starting to see, is that we're very interdimensional. We can be our own best friends. And I recently I received a letter that I'd written to my future self a few years ago. It was back from 2022. I used the Future Me, Future Self service, and I wrote, "Dear Future Me, I love you so very, very much. I hope you are seeing clear evidence of true beginnings of a new golden age, with blessings for you and everyone and everything you love. Hopefully people are acknowledging love and kindness and honoring relationships with one another, plants, animals, and the earth. With love and blessings, Cynthia." Of course, I'm referencing the advice from that Hopi prophecy rock. To me, it's showing transhumanism, Rev humanism. I'm choosing Rev humanism. I'm asking, how good can it get? And I'm asking all the questions that I'd most love to live the answer to for myself, for you, and for everyone and everything I love. Which reminds me, I want to make sure to tell you, I do love you so very much. And I just wish the best for you in every possible way with all your relations. And I'd love to talk more about interdimensional friendships, because that's where we're going. That's the new human. But I'll have to save that for another time. And there's more physics that I could have talked about today too, but I'm trying to keep this simple. So relational physics is a thing, a big thing. But anyway, love you so much. Keep asking, how good can it get? Take good care.